מסכת מנחות, פרק עשירי, we are on page 93, 3 lines from the top of the page. ברה קראי דהבוע. Father, son. Sometimes, unfortunately, the way that the world was created, father is no longer among the living. Yet, he left for his child, in this case, an offering. Meaning, he contributed an offering designated for the temple services. Now he's dead, his son have the obligation. Now the same ways both in the early and the late rabbinic literature, the children carries a responsibility. כשהאב זוכה, when the father merited and he was good to teach his children, give them the proper Jewish education, etc., etc., we believe that in Olam Haba, in the sense of the world to come and afterlife, by giving chinuch banav la Torah, he teaches his children the way of study, etc. He, in our language, which obviously is anthropomorphic, the father received the joy, the nachat, the zchut, the reward, the merit, while they continue in his way. If you look at the late Rabbi Shlomo Ganzfried, in the abbreviation of the code, in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, Kaddish Yatom, he brought a paragraph by the end of that beautiful chapter, the law of mourner's Kaddish, and he said, as much as it's good to say Kaddish, to light candles, to give charity, but continuing the path and following the proper path of life, that basically gives the spirit, the soul, the deceased, nachat. So here we have this statement in the Mishnah, Hayoresh somech umevin esachim umeimer. So here it's a statement that haben yada abba, so it's like the continuation of the father. So the heir, the child, the descendants, the living child, he mevin esachim, he brings the libation, he can lean on the offering of his father and just continuous. It's like he is the one who perpetuate or continue or fulfill the obligation of the father, since he's no longer among the living, can do. So he has certain rights, certain authorities, certain samchuyot. Even hamara, usually when something is consecrated, you cannot mehamir, you cannot redeem or substitute it. But if you wish to take behemat chulin, a non-consecrated animal, and say that this behemah will be mukdeshet, will be sanctified, so therefore they are both will be as a korban, and he can do it. So basically, shalosh samchuyot nitnu laben. There's the 3 special authority that the son can do. Somech, lean on the offering. Mevin esachim, he does the libations. And meimer, he can, as we said, he can substitute or extend the consecration for another animal. Tani Rav Chananya Kamei de Rava. Here, the Gemara brings a braita that contradicts this previous statement of the Mishnah. Statement from Rav Chananya before Rava. He said, Yoresh eino somech, Yoresh eino meimer. Here he said that an heir, a surviving child, does not place his hand on an offering he inherited, and an heir cannot substitute a non-sacred animal for an offering he inherited. So the question is, so that's a contradiction. Veha anantanan, we just recited a statement from our Mishnah that stated, Hayoresh somech umevi et nesachav umeimer. We said clearly that the heir, the surviving child, places his hand on the offering, which is called smicha, and brings the accompanying libations, and he can substitute a non-sacred animal for it, and thereby consecrated the non-sacred animal. So Rav Hananiah responded to that and he said, Amar lei ifchai. He said to him, should I reverse the current version of the Braita to have it be in accordance with the Mishnah? So the Shita Mekubetzet and others want to understand what exactly he meant by saying the reverse. But let's see first the answer. Amar lei, Rava respond to Rav Hananiah and he says, Lo, you do not need to reverse the Braita. Matnitin mani, to whom this statement applies. So matnitin usually apply to Mishnah, but here the way the Rashash brought in Shabbat 83, it's Braita. So this Braita, according to whom it's speaking, Rabbi Yudai le Tanya, we have a statement from Rabbi Yudai in a different location, different Braita, that stated Yoresh Somech, Yoresh Meimer, an heir places hand, an heir can effect substitution. Rabbi Yudah Omer, Yoresh Eino Somech, Yoresh Eino Meimer. Rabbi Yudah disagreed, and he said, an heir do not place his hand, meaning the person who contributed, he should do it. If he is no longer among the living, the surviving living do not do the same full process, which is placing hand, and the heir cannot effect substitution. My ta'ama de Rabbi Yudah. Why Rabbi Yudah said that it's not? So they said, Korbano. The text said he's offering, which means that one places his hand only in one's own offering, his offering, Korbano. Velo Korban Aviv, but not on one's father offering that one inheritance. Ve'yaliv tchilat ekdesh misof ekdesh. And furthermore, Rabbi Yudah derives the halacha concerning who can substitute a non-sacred animal for an offering, which is the initial stage of consecration, from the halacha concerning who performed the rite of placing hands on the offering. Masof hekdesh yoresh eno somech, which is the same way as the final stage of consecration. The heir does not place his hand. So after tchilat hekdesh yored eno memer. So in regard to initial stage of the of consecration, when it's come to that level of hekdesh, of consecration, holy, sacred, an heir cannot effect substitution. So now, how the sages explain this view? They said in Leviticus 27 verse 10, Hamer Yamir, if he shall substitute animal for animal. So you use the term Hamer Yamir, you have double form of Hamer Yamir. So why you do it? Lerabot et hayoretz, to include the heir as one capable of offering the substitution. And furthermore, ve'alif sof ekdesh mitchilat ekdesh, the Rav halacha, one who performed the rite of placing hand, which is the final stage of consecration, from the halacha concerning one can effect substitution, which is the initial stage of consecration. Ma tchilat ekdesh yoresh meimar, af sof ekdesh yoresh meimar, just with regard to initial stage of consecration, as an heir can effect substitution, so too with regard to final stage of consecration, an heir places his hand. So now the Gemara elaborates what exactly the sages derive from the statement of Rabbi Yudah. So they said, "V'Rabbanan mahai korbano mai avdeli." The whole point of Rabbi Yudah that said that Yoresh eno somech, that the heir cannot lean his hand on the korban. What did they derive from the word korbano, his offering? Now you see three important points. One, korbano velo korban oved kochavim, his offering and not an offering of idol worshippers. Korbano velo korban chavero, which means the shaliach, the agent, the emissary, cannot represent the owner of the offering by leaning for him on the offering. And the 3, קורבנו לרבות כל בעלי קורבן לסמיכה, which means all required to place their hands on the offering, meaning if there are several partners in the korban, one cannot depend on other to do it for everyone. It's not a concept of shaliach tzibur. There have to be a join of doing smicha, meaning according to the sages, the 3 times mentioned of korbano, there are 3 different avenues, 3 different dinim, and none of them derive lema'et yoresh, the one that is the heir. So now the Gemara derived to understand what the Rabbi Yehuda view. Rabbi Yehuda not hold that one mentioned serves to include all the honor of jointly owned offering in the requirement of placing hand. לרבות כל בעלי קורבן לסמיכה ליתלי, וינמי איתלי עובד כוכבים וחברו מחד קרא נפקא. Alternately, if he holds that one of the mentioned serves to include honor of jointly on offering, then he must derive that one does not place hands on the offering of a idol worshipper or of another person from the same one that mentioned in the pasuk, which leave yatrule trei kraei, leaves 2 more mentioned in the psukim. Chad korbano velo korban aviv, one is offering but not his father's offering that he inherited. Ve'idach, and the next one, lerabot kol ba'alei korban lesmicha. And the other one includes all the honors of jointly owned offering in the requirement of placing hand. So, Rabbi Yehuda hai hamer yamir mai avidlei. Rabbi Yehuda that hold that the heir yoresh eino meimir. So what exactly the derivative, the understanding of the verse, if he shall substitute, my avidle, what exactly he derived from that? So the Gemara respond, מבעיה לרבות את האישה. Here we derive a special ribui and include the woman among those who can effect substitution. So, if she did the substitute in her korban, so the tmura chala, the tmura is effective. However, she received malkot. נתנו, לפי שכל העניין כולו אינו מדבר אלא בלשון זכר. Since the whole concept, the way it's written in the text, it's in a male, in masculine form, מה סופנו לרבות את האישה? What is the reason that we ultimately come to include a woman when it's come to din tmura? Talmud lomar hamer yamir. So they said, if he shall substitute, you have here a double form. There is a Gemara both in Kiddushin 29 and 35 as well as Tmura, the first daf, the whole idea of what and how you mashve, you included or excluded men to women. But you see more in Gemara in Tmura, page 13. So now the Gemara goes to the view of the sages. V'Rabbanan darshei, the Rabbanan that have ribui of hamer yamir, that yoresh, that the heir can do a substitute, they derive from the meve'im, that the woman can effect substitution from the term in Leviticus 27 verse 10, they said, and if, mi ve'im, meaning im amer yamir, without vav. Vav, it's basically to add the phrase of women. And they said, Rabbi Yehuda ve'im lo darish. However, Rabbi Yehuda does not expound on the term ve'im and if at all. So he doesn't derive this yitur od vav. Tosfot On page 51b, דיבור מתחיל ו', expand on that, and now we go to the Mishnah Kedusha. This is a very, the whole Mishnahot are very important, but this one is really, in the time of Beit HaMikdash, carries a lot of weight. The Mishnah said, Hakol somchin. So in general, they said, all must perform leaning. Chutz michashu mecheresh shote vekatan. Except from a deaf mute, the impossible, which someone who is not mentally well, and a minor. So anyone bringing one of the types of offering which requires smicha, a leaning, must carry out that requirement with the exception of the following individual: a deaf mute, imbecile, someone who's shoter, who is not 100% mentally capable, and minor. All three are considered, in that sense, non-intelligent in regard to all matters of Jewish law. So again, to make sure that we all understand it, a deaf mute, imbecile, and minor are considered in the sense they not the one that we can take as a full intelligent, and therefore they excluded from performance of this right. The Gemara later on expanded that it's not to put them down, it's not to be disrespectful to them, but as far as making those decisions, such as to do the performance of leaning, we do not impose on these three categories. Furthermore, vesuma, a blind man, the exception of blind man from the smicha right is derived from the way that we compare of requirement for smicha by individual to the Torah requirement for smicha for a par helem davar shel tzibur performed by the Sanhedrin. Later you see it in the Gemara as well as Gemara in Sanhedrin 36b. So Tosfot here expand on that, why this source does not invalidate someone with any defect which disqualified one for Sanhedrin rather than for only blindness. But anyway, they also say that it's a Oved Kochavim, idol worshipper, Daber al Bnei Israel, not idol worshippers, Ve'ha'eved, Knanite slave, Ve'hashaliach, an agent, we'll expand on that later, Ve'ha'isha, Bnei Israel, not Israel, later the Gemara expand on that, Usmicha shiarei mitzvah, and leaning is considered a reminder of the precept of mitzvah. Smicha considered the non-essential remnant of the offering in the sense that it's not critical to the basic atonement of the offering. So should one bring an offering and neglect to perform the rite of smicha, the sacrifice is valid. However, with the absence of smicha, there is a degree of atonement lacking, in so much of as the mitzvah was not performed its entirety. So anyway, al harosh, the head of the korban, bishtei yadayim, using both hands, v'samach Aharon et shtei yadav, the Torah said, uvemakom shesomchin shochatim. So the place where they leaning, that's the place they perform the slaughter. Temple outside the temple courtyard. V'techef lismicha shchita, meaning the leaning immediately precedes the slaughtering. So the reason the animal must be slaughtered in the place where the smicha is performed is because former must be done immediately after the latter, as we derive from the passage in Leviticus, the first chapter, verses 4 and 5, which mandates slaughtering immediately after smicha. Later on, the Gemara expand on that, and in general, that's v'samach et yado al rosh ha'olah v'shachat et ben habakar. So that's the derivative. You see it both Rashi in Kitvei Yad here and Rashi in Zvachim 33. So the Gemara asks a question: if you tell me these three categories, which you said, the deaf, mute, imbecile and minor. They're not competent. עובד כוכבים נמי, בני ישראל סומכים ואין עובדי כוכבים סומכים. We understand that either worshipper cannot do it, בני ישראל does it. אלא סומה, blind person, what's the reason that he does not place his hand on the offering? You know, it's a big discussion, and it's a matter of fact that I wrote once an article in one of the rabbinic magazine, the whole halachot of kiddush levana for suma, because the idea of suma, for example, aliyah Torah, and many other discussion halachot have all kind of variation, what and how you treated suma, a blind person. יוצר המאורות is a שאלה in הלכה, ברכת יוצר המאורות that we said every day. But here, what's the reason? רב חיסדא ורבי יצחק ברב דימי אחד אמר, אתיה סמיכה סמיכה מזקני העדה. We derive a verbal juxtaposition from the word smicha, leaning, that placing hand in a passage dealing with the general requirement to the passage dealing with the bull offering brought for a community-wide violation perpetrated due to an erroneous ruling of the Sanhedrin, which is performed by the elder of the congregation, which is the judges of the Sanhedrin. So the same as the judges may not be blind, that's in Sanhedrin 34b, same, so too the right of placing hand is not performed by a blind person. V'chad amar, and the other one said, Atya smicha, smicha, you learn a verbal analogy between the word leaning, smicha, smicha, placing hand, me'olat re'iyah, and the burnt offering of appearance. So the derivatives is just as a blind person is exempt for making a pilgrimage to Yerushalayim and bringing the offering, that's Gemara in Chagiga, page 2. So too, he is excluding from the requirement of placing hands. So the Gemara asks, Uleman de amar me'olat re'iyah, and according to one who said that the exclusion of a blind person is derived from the burnt offering of appearance, mai ta'ama la yalef mi ziknei eida. What's the reason that it does not derive this from placing a hand performed by the elders of the congregation? Page 93b, the Gemara responds, Danim yachid mi yachid ven danim yachid mi tzibur. Rashi beautifully explained to us, you cannot compare the offering and obligation of individual when it's come to those halachot with comparison to communities. It's two different, how do you say it? It's two different ball games. It's two different stories. You cannot compare apple to orange, right? The idea is that when you have individual, which is olat yachid, you derive it from olat re'iyah, from the pilgrims that brought the offering. That's individual from individual. Versus when it's come to individual compared to par helem davar shel tzibur, the community offering, that's a total different, because the bull that brought for a community-wide violation is a total structure of offering, and you cannot compare the two. Now the Gemara goes to deal with the first view. Uleman dialif miziknei eida, mai ta'ama lo yalif me'olat re'iyah. So according to one who said that the exclusion of a blind person is derived from the placing of hands performed by the elders of the congregation, what is the reason that he does not derive this from the burnt offering of appearance? So Gemara said, he hold danim mida dechtiv basmicha begufei. We derive halachot, the matter that they're requiring a smicha, a placing hand explicitly when it's regard to the case itself, as is the case in the passage dealing with the general requirement of placing hands. Mi mida dechtiv basmicha begufei. So the same one is placing hand, case written with regard to case itself, as the case of passage description the bull brought for a community-wide violation of a sin, paralem davar shel tzibur. So this serves to exclude the possibility of deriving the halachot from those of the burnt offering of the appearance, la pugei olat re'iyah dehi gufa molat nedava gmura. that they itself derive from the requirements stated with regard to a voluntarily burnt offering. The Torah said in Leviticus chapter 9 verse 16, "Vayakrev et ha'olah vayaseh kamishpat," and the burnt offering was presented, and he sacrificed it according to its ordinance. So the last phrase means kemishpat olat nedava, in accordance with the ordinances of the voluntarily burnt offering. So accordingly, limed olat chova shetuna smicha, we derive that the obligatory burnt offering that is requiring a placing hand, just as a voluntarily burnt offering does. The Mishnah states, "V'ha'eved," and a Canaanite slave, "V'ha'shaliach," the agent of the owner of the offering who brings the offering on his behalf, "V'ha'isha," woman who's not placed a hand on the offering, "Tanu Rabbanan yado," his hand, "Velo yad avdo." Yado velo yad shlucho, yado velo yad ishto. So you derive from three phrases that written, one in Leviticus 3 verse 2, one is Leviticus 3 verse 8, and one is Leviticus 3 verse 13. The text itself used the same word, which is his hand, or in Hebrew yado, and the derivative is his hand and not his Canaanite slave. His head is not his shaliach, his emissary, his agent, his hand, but not the hand of his wife, which means she cannot do the placing hand for him. So you might ask, Kol hane lamali, why you need all these exclusions? You can derive it from saying in one time, and you can derive all the others, Rashi explained, together. Tzricha, you need each of them. If the Torah used only one exclusion, Hava min alemeut eved delav bar mitzvot. I think that is only Canaanite slaves, that is not part of obligation to fulfill mitzvot. Aval shaliach, but fellow Israel, that he is an agent, davar mitzvah, he is obligated to fulfill all the mitzvot. And we have the famous principle, ushlucho shel adam kemoto, meaning the shaliach, the someone who is your agent, in that sense is the same as the person itself. So eima lismoch. So you may think that he should place his hand on the offering of the owner behalf, and thereby fulfill the requirement. So therefore, it's necessary to have an independent source to exclude an agent. It's important to know that this is a famous Gemara in Kiddushin, page 41b, that dealing with the Korban Pesach. The Torah tells us in the Paschal Lamb in Shmot, chapter 12, ושחטו אותו כל קהל עדת ישראל. So you can't have the entire קהל עדת ישראל to do the שחיטת הפסח. So it means, אחד שוחט עבור כולם. One שליח מצווה, one person who is like a power of attorney or the representative or שליח ציבור, whatever you call him, he's the one who represents everyone. So therefore, וישמעון הנהני תרתי, if the Torah told us only these two halachot, one will have excluded only Canaanite slave and an agent, the lav kegufei damya, they're not considered like its own flesh. However, aval ishto kegufo, ishto dich kegufei damya, because his wife is considered like his own flesh. Eima tismach, you have made this notion to consider her to be like his own flesh, and therefore allow her to do placing hand the same as him, as the husband. So consequently, the third mention is necessary, tzricha, to teach us that even a wife cannot fulfill the requirement on behalf of her husband. The Mishnah continues and said, smicha shiarei mitzvah. Smicha, placing the requirement of placing hand, is a non-essential mitzvah. Tanu Rabbanan. The Torah tells us in the book of Leviticus chapter 1 verse 4, Vesamach, and he shall place his hand upon the head of the burnt offering, and it shall be accepted for him to effect atonement for him. So the Gemara asks, you mean to say Vechi smicha mechaperet? You mean to say that placing hand, that's basically the act, the physical act that effect atonements? והלא אין כפרה אלא בדם. The way that we derive is the atonement effects only to the presentation of the blood. שנאמר, said in Leviticus chapter 17 verse 11, כי הדם הוא בנפש יסכפר. The famous pasuk that said, translation, for the soul of the flesh is the blood, and I have given it to you upon the altar to effect atonement for your souls. For it is the blood of the soul that effects atonement. אלא לומר לך, rather the pasuk serves to say to you, שאם עשאה לשמיכה שירא מצווה, that if one treated placing hand as though it were non-essential mitzvah and therefore neglected to perform it, מעלה עליו הכתוב כאילו לא כיפר וכיפר. So the verse ascribes to him blame as though he did not effect atonement, but nevertheless, in actuality, the offering atones for his sin and he does not need to bring another offering. ותניא גבי תנופה כהגבנה, and is taught in the brighter regards to waving in this way. The pasuk said in Leviticus 14 verse 21, he shall take one male lamb as a guilt offering to be waved to effect atonement for him. לתנופה לכפר. So the brighter asks this question, וכי תנופה לכפר, the same notion of question, does waving of the offering effect atonement? והלא אין כפרה אלא בדם שנאמר כאדם ובנפש יכפר, the same מהלך, לומר לך שאם עשה לתנופה, before we say לשמיכה, now we say לתנופה שירי מצווה, מעלה עליו הכתוב כאילו לא כיפר וכיפר. על הראש. The Mishnah said that the placing hand is performed by leaning on the head of the animal offering. תנו רבנן ידו על הראש ולא על יד הצוואר. It's not the hand around the neck of the animal. ידו על הראש ולא ידו על הגביים. It's not hand on the back of the animal. ידו על הראש ולא ידו על החזה. Not hands on the breast of the animal. כל הענה למה לי? Why you need all of that? צריכי. די כתב רחמן אחד למהותי צוואר דלוקאי בעד ראשו. אבל גבו דקאי לעד ראשו אימה לא צריכה. So if the Torah, the merciful one, use and they bring exclusion only apply to the tzavar, which is the animal's neck, as it's not level with the head of the animal. However, with regard to its back, with its level, with its head, one might say that it's not precluded, and that one can fulfill the requirement by placing one's hand there. So therefore, it's necessary to have the independent source to exclude the animal's back. If the Torah taught us the two halachot, one will have the excluded only the neck and the back, because it's not included with the waving of the offering, so they are not waved. However, the breast that it's included the waving of the offering, you may say that it's not precluded. So necessary to teach us the placing hand cannot perform even the animal breast. So now the sages ask a question about if one places his hand on the sides of the animal's head, what's the halacha? Mau tashma letanya Abba bira Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Omer yado al rosho v'lo yado al tzaddim, head not upon the hands of the side of the head. By Rabbi Yirmiyah matlit ma'u shitachutz. Rabbi Yirmiyah asked a dilemma. How about a cloth? So if one hands were wrapped in a cloth, what's the halacha as to whether the cloth is regarded as interposition? It's some type of mechitza or some type of chatzitza between the hands of the animal, such it have invalidate the rights. They have a clear source that they say that the right is valid provided that there is no item that interposes between him and the offering. Two hands, from where the Mishnah said it. Omer the Torah said that Aaron, the high priest, the first one, place his two hands. That's Leviticus 16. So the ktiv yado, ktiv shtei. That's the paradigm. And what do you derive for that? Any place that they use the term his hand, harekanstein, has to be plural too. Otherwise, if the pasuk, the Torah, tell you specifically that it's only one, otherwise you understand that it's two. Azal Rabbi Eliezer v'amar l'shma'atam b'vei midrashav v'amar l'shmei Rabbi Shlakish. Here is a painful story that Rabbi Eliezer, this is something we should learn always in life, that he didn't bring the source. You know, we talk sometimes about copyrights and other things. So here, Shlakish was very makpid, was unhappy, became angry that he did not refer that it's from him. Shamar Shlakish v'ikpad amar le'il, isagad atach kol echad yativ yado traitininu lama l'michtav yadav yadav. Actually, 24 yadav. So Shlakish raised objections against him from 24 occasions where the Torah writes his hand. For example, yadav teviyanir, yadav derav lo, sikel yadav. So as a result, Rabbi Lazar ishtik, he displayed equanimity, he was quiet, akuyas, there is no response. When Shlakish come down, why you not say that his hand with regard to placing hands, but with regard to other halachot, when the Torah says his hand, that's referring to just one hand, and so it's referring to two hands, it's must be his hands, quote unquote. That's the book of Numbers, chapter 27. So smichad be'ema kamre says that's placing hands on an animal offering, but all the other cases, if the mentions the intention is that there are two hands, the plural must be used. The Mishnah teaches makom sheshochatim tzomchim techev lasmicha shchita, in the same location in the temple that one places hands, one slaughter the animal, and immediately following the rite of placing hands, the slaughter is performed. So the Gemara asks, "My kamar, what is the Mishnah saying?" Hachi kamar, that's what the Mishnah is saying. B'makom shetzomchim shochatim, in the same location in the temple that one takes hands, one slaughter the animal, because immediately following the rite of placing hands, the slaughter is performed. Shetechef lasmicha shchita. So you see here that there are two distinct rulings, rather the second statement in the explanation of the first.